back again. Today's edition is a little different. Decided not to do a segment on anything specific, but more so, I came on here to talk to you today about black entrepreneurship. As black people, we have the unlimited buying power. I just want to make sure everyone understands what I mean when I say unlimited. Black labor is the number one labor in America, regardless of what anyone tries to say about the foreigners, Mexicans, or anything else. Black labor is the number one labor in America. Matter of fact, our labor is actually stolen labor in America. If you really want to think about it, take it back to all the way into slavery days where they actually brought black people here to work. That is how dependent this country is on your money, on your labor, your dollar. And I don't think we as a people appreciate the power we do have in our hands, and we don't utilize that to have a voice in America, or to I want to say, build a community based understanding of our dollar. Before I go into the segment today, I just want to start by shouting out a few people. First and foremost, shout out to my brother, Twice God, the creator of Poor Sunshine Apparel, which you guys see me in most of my pictures in. That is Poor Sunshine. The creator, the artsy gangster Jamal, that's my brother, man. Shout out to him. For more information on that, you can go to PoorSunshineApparel.com. Also, shout out to my little cousin, Mando. He has another clothing line that is pretty dope. Commas Over Drama. For those who know, get that money. It's COD, baby. You know what I'm saying? For more information on that, follow him on Instagram, Commas Over Drama. Yeah. Shout out to all the entrepreneurs out there, man. Shout out TCG, my producer. He produced the song that you hear on the intro with me. That is actually him and me on the intro. Shout out to the entrepreneurs, man. You know what I mean? If you know somebody who is an entrepreneur, you know what I'm saying, send them to my inbox, you know what I'm saying, so I can start shouting people out. Last but not least, shout out Act City, Gas Nation, my boy Dre. He's another entrepreneur coming up in the game with a dope clothing line. You know what I mean? You gotta appreciate local talent and local people before you can appreciate the people who are already established. Because people who are established, they usually have big money backing them. And you know what? These people out here, they're doing it, man. They're walking around, they're promoting their stuff to people. They're actually trying to get people to wear their clothes. They got underground artists. They got these people walking around in their clothes, and people see them every day, but don't know who are actually behind these things. And I feel like the more we put our people out there in the forefront for them to succeed, the more it comes back to the community. Understand, these people still live in their communities that they're supporting. You know what I mean? If you're in my tax bracket, you're paying the same taxes I pay. Why wouldn't I promote you to have that money come back to my community, for my kids to succeed, for my community to get better? We have to learn how to utilize a dollar better than just spending it wherever we feel we want to spend it. You know what I mean? If you look at the Jewish community, they have their own police departments. They have their own housing areas. They have actual zones for the Jewish community. And that's not to say, we should do that or we can't do it. It's more so as an example as to, other ways of, having a society within the society. It's not that we're trying to rebel against America so deep that we need our own. Black people had their own, and that's kind of what today's segment is about. A lot of people will sit and spew out Black Wall Street, Black Wall Street, Black Wall Street. Well, Black Wall Street was pretty wealthy, yes. It was very well established, yes. It was ran very well, yes. But was it the only black civilization that we started in America? And I say civilization because we were civilized. A savage can't make money. You understand? A savage doesn't want money. A savage wants to do savagery. We had civilization within an uncivilized environment. The climate of white America was not the same back in the 1920s to 1930s. Understand, like, for instance, Central Park back then was considered a black town called Seneca Village, which the government actually gave to the free slaves. Of course, in White Town, they got to have their own name for our places, so they called it Freedom Town. And in Freedom Town, you had well over, I say close to 3,500 people Okay, there were five major churches, three schools. You had grocery stores. You had, so many things there, man. These people actually went to Egypt, grabbed an obelisk. I don't know if you know what an obelisk is. That's the needlepoint tower they mimicked when they made the Washington Monument. But the actual obelisk that's next to the Museum of Natural History in Central Park was brought there by ex-slaves, on their dollar. So you got to understand, we've had, great, great civilizations. And each time the government has interfered with the progress of black advancement. And the reason being is because our buying power is so advanced, is so far ahead of its time that we're not just spending money, we're actually creating the things people need to buy. Okay, for instance, in Black Wall Street, where the broom was invented, the mop, the dustpan, all over America, if you needed a broom, a dustpan, or a mop, you had to get it from Black Wall Street. So understand, it was monopolized at the time that you could not get these products unless you came to black people. Now, we stopped being this way around the time of said, situation. And it's usually led to bloodshed, the success of black people. And when I say bloodshed, I mean literally bombed us in Black Wall Street. They bombed Baltimore once black people got prosperous. They bombed Philly once black people got prosperous. See, people think Black Wall Street is the only place that got bombed. No, it wasn't. It was the first. But it wasn't the only place. See, Baltimore is still recovering a lot from the bombings, and you can see that's one of the poorest places in America right now, which used to be a booming economy for black people. Even if you look at Chicago was actually started by black people. Little known to a lot of people, Chicago was a black town. It was started by blacks. The actual first automobile made by a black man was made in Chicago. There are so many things that we have done as a people that's undershadowed or overshadowed in America, just off the fact that people swear up and down it's irrelevant now, even though it's our history. But they don't do this to any other race. And the reason why they discourage such things is because you're still capable of these things. Understand something. I want to break something down to you, and it's because the other day I seen something interesting. Even though I've seen the movie a few times, my dude Chris Rock, he made a movie called Bad Hair, and I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Bad Hair. It's basically about black people, how we feel our hair is bad because society tells us so, this, that, and the third. But one thing I found interesting, it was a woman on there. She was buying a weave. The weave was $3,000. She put the weave on layaway. Now, a lot of ladies like, oh, what's wrong with that? Yeah, okay. How about this? How much does it cost in America to incorporate yourself? Well, let's see. If you go through the course and you need a lawyer, it's going to cost you about $750. If you do it online with websites such as LegalZoom, which is a good website, it's going to cost you anywhere from $250 to $350. Now, this weave is 10 times what we're talking about to start a business, something that will make you self-sufficient, independent, and not have you sitting in the welfare line begging for money and food when you just spent $3,000 on a weave you could have used towards your life. Now, I'm not saying this to down anyone or to down women, because you're not the only ones who blow money frivolously. Look at men in Jordans. And since when? I'm sorry, a sidebar. Since when has men become so materialistic that we have become the females of society? Now, when I say we, I put myself in this category only because I'm a man in society. Now, I don't do the things that a lot of other guys do, but I do like to spend money on things that I enjoy. Granted, I'm single, I don't have kids, which is perfectly fine, but once I have a family to deal with, things change. But in the meantime, men, we have to refocus. We can't be so focused on buying material things that we don't establish ourselves fully as men. This is the thing, man. We can do so much more with the almighty dollar than we have been doing. And the thing what we are stuck with right now is we're in a loop cycle of whenever black people start to succeed, the leaders are killed, the people are discouraged, they give us a little bit to quell us over, then they give us something to debate and argue about, and then something new comes along. The new thing for black people today in entrepreneurship is selling drugs. Now, this has become a trend tremendously throughout the 80s, 90s, into the 2000s. Selling drugs does not mean that you're a bad person. I'm going to tell you now. Drugs exist because they exist. Okay, poppy fields were around before the conception of America. Marijuana was around before America. These things have been around. Opium, and it was trades for this. It was a market for this. But when it became a thing to sell it to your people, now here's where I have to go and kind of get in my people's butt a little bit about this, because the government actually flooded the streets with drugs, pushed them into our communities. The government sent agents in to teach people how to make drugs, such as crack cocaine, etc., which has been an epidemic in our neighborhood. And one thing that is interesting to me is how we gravitated towards drug money, but never utilized the drug money to build. Okay, now this is my thing. If you're going to sell drugs, make $10,000 in a week or something like that, why aren't you opening up a corner store and hiring those kids in the neighborhood that need a job instead of putting drugs in their hand? Why don't you open a laundromat and put that kid to work? Or, you know what I mean? There's other things you could be doing with your money other than just going to the club, spending 50 racks on bottles and throwing money in the strip club just because you see a bunch of titties that you could see at home for free just because you're a drug dealer. Now, this is the thing that's insane to me. It's because we got caught up in the lifestyle of being flashy and materialistic. This is what I mean by men in society today. We have been misogynized by our own people. We're not even just misogynized. We've been feminized to believe that material things should matter to a man. Material things are for the women. The woman is supposed to want things that fill up her life along with the man. Now, the home is the home. Yes, when you come home, you want your home to look nice. But it is the woman who makes that home and not the man. Do you understand? See, a man walking home is just a place to live, sleep, eat. You go out and you don't come back until you have to. But when a man has a woman at home, he is more willing to be there because that home is full of love. It's full of care. The woman is there in her place, being who she is. That is the appreciative aspect that men have lost as far as being in this society. And I'm not trying to bash our people today. I'm just simply saying we need to step it up. Utilize our money for something better. Utilize our time for something better. Invest ourselves into our own people, our own neighborhood. Stop looking for handouts from outside sources. We have the number one buying power in America. Understand, majority of the bus drivers, nurses, hospital workers, sanitation workers, predominantly black. And these are things that could paralyze a city if we were to walk away from. If for some people who don't understand what I'm saying, look at the movie The Spook Who Sat by the Door. It's a very good example of what I mean, of how they tried to cripple the economy by not having black labor in the force. And it will cripple America's market. And black labor is so heavily traded on the market, it makes you wonder, are we still slaves? Because at the end of the day, we're presented with these ideologies like a slave was. We are presented with these things that slaves were to distract them. And it's all changed due to the technological age. We think we're not being enticed or tantalized by these things, but we are. And it's damaging our people. It's damaging us, But once again, I feel we can do better. With love, care, happiness, we'll do better. And I feel like in the future, going into the next millennia, we have to be the ones to do it. This generation, stand up, step up. And this is Justinius Coffee saying, stay woke. Love, 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 yeah. Love, 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 right. Love, 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 love.